Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. Today, we continue our 2021 webinar series with the July feature and product update from Webex. I'm your host, Joe Wachna. I'd like you to welcome our speaker today from Webex, Ms. Astrid Gintz, Product Marketing Manager within the Cisco Webex marketing team. Now, before we begin, just a few housekeeping items to take care of. All audio lines are in listen-only mode. There is a Q&A panel for questions, and we'll try to make time at the end of the session for your questions. This session is being recorded, and a replay will be made available in the coming days. So now, without further ado, let's hand it over to Astrid to kick off the July feature and product updates from Webex.
Thanks, Joe, and good morning, good afternoon to everybody. Thanks again for joining us. We are continuing our series on Webex feature enhancements and talking about those in the context of hybrid work. So we're going to go through a lot of the features that will be introduced in July within Webex. I'm going to flash the safe harbor statement. We are going to be talking about some things that are coming later in the month, and things happen. So sometimes our dates change, but today we have a lot to talk about. We're going to talk a little bit more about kind of the evolving hybrid work area and how Webex can really play a role, we believe, in helping organizations take the next step in moving forward and delivering great solutions. We're going to talk about some of the innovations and more hybrid work options within Webex. We've got a great panel of Q&A folks today. We're even going to squeeze in a demo. So if you have questions as we go through the material, please use the Q&A section and we'll try and get you an answer during the session. So first of all, we've been talking about this for a while. If you joined us last month, we had an event all about hybrid work and how the evolution of work is really changing and introducing a larger role. So the future of work as we all navigate the next step is something that we're all trying to figure out. But we look at this in terms of waves, and we've all lived through that. Wave one was where we were pre-global health crisis. Collaboration tools were maybe not mainstream in all work environments, and people didn't use them consistently. That we had power users and we had occasional users and folks who maybe were not using those tools to their full extent. Wave two was we had to do this huge, once in a lifetime, hopefully, pivot to remote work. And we know that lots of organizations selected tools that were good enough, what they had available out of urgency to give people something so that when they worked remotely or even from the front lines, they had something that they could immediately engage. But those solutions were never meant to be used 100% of the time. And we are now approaching wave three around the world. People are in various stages as they start thinking about moving to the next stage, bringing people back into the office. Or really evolving the tool sets. And this is a great opportunity we recognize for people to really look at a more strategic approach to the tools that they use to support hybrid work and how they want their work environments to evolve to address some of the things that we've all learned during this wave two, where we all were working from home and what that meant in terms of being more productive or facing fatigue or tools that maybe were not ideal for everyone. And one of the factors that we think is really important is in this wave three, we have an opportunity to take a more strategic look. And our view here is that good enough, which might have been the factor that people used in wave two, something that's just good enough to give people a way of being connected from home, is not really enough in this new environment, because the future work is going to look very different. And these are some of the stats from some of our surveys. 81% of folks who were polled are not delighted about going back to work 100% of the time. They're actively looking at what it means to have a hybrid schedule. And in this environment, I think this is something that many organizations, perhaps yours as well, are thinking about more and more. What's important to support for their employees? What makes the most sense for their business? The second stat here is 98% expect that all future meetings will involve one or more remote participants. And as people go back to the work, that means a lot, right? The concept of a local meeting where everybody is local is probably something that's not going to happen very often anymore. And so it's really important to think about what that means when you have a lot of participants who are going to be joining locally or from all different locations. And 97% are looking at changes to make the work environment safer. And I would say safer and more engaging wherever you work. So going back into the office, in some cases represents some anxiety about people being safe in that environment, having touch-free environments. But I think also safer even when you're working from home. There's a a lot of fatigue, sore necks, et cetera, if you have tool sets that maybe are not optimized. And so really rethinking what is important for hybrid work is important. So good enough in this environment where people are really looking at dynamic situations within their industry. It's really not enough just to continue with status quo. And here are a few examples of why we think good enough is not enough. A lot of organizations face painful guest experiences. And today, more than ever, that supply chain and partner communication is really important. We've never seen it be more important now to be able to continue to engage with partners. So having a guest experience that is less than ideal when you're communicating on a daily or even more frequent basis with partners or customers or even contractors can really provide a challenge to the way that you work. Devices that are not integrated. We've all really taken another look at the importance of having consistent experiences across software and hardware, across the devices that you have when you're at home, when you're on the front line, and when you go into the office, and providing consistent experiences so that we really make that technology disappear and allow people to be more focused on work is important. So when you don't have that, it really becomes challenging again for users. It represents more work for IT. Poor call quality is another thing, right? This is where good enough is not enough is really stands out. If you can't get call quality right and the capabilities, you really have no collaboration or real-time collaboration capability. People just don't cannot continue a conversation if they can't be heard or if the quality is so poor. It's a fundamental foundational element. Being able to collaboration enable every workflow, really important. And again, a good enough solution that doesn't give you the flexibility to integrate with existing applications can create some challenges and silos, and that really doesn't fit in that dynamic hybrid work environment. Multiple management portals. We know there's been a huge load on IT staffs everywhere as people have more and more of the collaboration workloads. Maybe they have different environments. Having to do a swivel chair with multiple management portals that aren't connected creates really some exposures in terms of providing great support or anticipating and overcoming issues. So thinking about ways in which we can help IT scale the support, but also ensure that every user is going to have a great experience is something to really consider if it makes sense. And then lastly, it's never been more important the relationships that you have with your customers. So solutions that don't think about ways in which they extend into events or even contact center become problematic if you're not really thinking about the full scope of your business. And that's where we see Webex playing a large role in really taking the next step to delivering more strategic solutions for hybrid work. So with Webex, you get the same experience for employees and guests. This is part of the way that we've architected the network. We use the identification of your email, so you're not siloed by organization or Active Directory structure. There's no need to switch between the organization or the login when you're communicating with your partners or your customer. Really important if you expect to have very responsive engagement and continuous connections. Integrated hardware and software experiences, again, really important in terms of being able to give people the best experience and consistency wherever they work. Webex has many, many years of providing native enterprise calling. This is core to Cisco's business. We've done a lot of work for years and years on-prem, and we've moved that into the cloud. So that's an area where we feel very comfortable providing the scalability and the quality required to make that a no-brainer. Embedding in your existing applications, again, foundational to Webex. We believe in an open environment and extensibility to every application. So we're committed to doing that. It's part of Cisco's DNA. Centralized management, again, this is a fundamental to what we do. We believe in having elements that are managed across the entire collaboration suite, all brought together in a single pane of glass. Webex Control Hub gives you that visibility and that management across all of the collaboration workloads, as well as extensive troubleshooting, analytics, et cetera. It even integrates on-prem and hybrid solutions in addition to the cloud solution. So really a comprehensive view to help IT with the insights and the management capability across all collaboration tool sets. And then last but not least, again, the Webex platform includes event capability as well as contact center. So there's lots of opportunity there to get great economies in terms of calling or other capabilities. And again, really delivering quality solutions for those environments that are fully manageable. So we're committed to delivering a better experience or the best of breed experience with Webex. And this is something that we think is showing up in terms of how our customers are really looking at Webex. There's a lot of customer examples that we could share in terms of people who are looking at solutions, and it becomes even more important to have, for example, an integrated experience across applications and devices as people start looking about returning to the office and controlling office phones, and some of the fundamentals. But there's also an innovation advantage, and this is one we're showing McLaren here. This is a customer that we've recently added to the Webex portfolio. They came to us from a competitor, and there were a lot of synergies here in terms of McLaren's view, in terms of how they were going to transform their organization and be even more innovative. And this is where Webex also brings a superior experience with AI and more intelligence to provide them an advantage. So for them, things like AI noise removal and voice enhancement, super important. They conduct a lot of business from the track side. So there's a lot of friction and background noise there. More opportunities to remove that to provide a more natural experience when people are communicating was a big deal for them. The second is device integration and communication. So this is really talking about the track side, and then connecting back to an office environment and making it really easy to include device integration into that environment so you have the ability to collaborate across people in shared locations as well as individual locations. And then translation, not a small undertaking, but super important in terms of really supporting a multinational team. So really, when we look at Webex, we think that there are tremendous advantages here to really deliver great experiences that really allow you to have the best hybrid work experience, but also prime you for the next stage of your business innovation. So we shared this, I think, if you joined us last month in our Webex event around hybrid work made real. If you haven't seen it, we would encourage you to take a look at the recording. We had some great sessions that really dove into this. But there were 5 key categories that our customers have identified that are important to them in terms of delivering the best hybrid work solutions. The first is flexibility, and this is really the ability to adapt to any work style, role, or device. And this is really bringing everybody into the organization with collaboration tools that make sense. And in our view, in hybrid work, collaboration becomes even more important. It's not limited to a select few, it's for everybody in the organization. The second is being inclusive. And this is really something, again, that's fundamental to the way Cisco approaches our business. It's providing inclusive solutions that ensure an equal experience for all participants. This is great because it provides a lot more diversity, but it also means that everybody's included. We remove as much as possible the haves and the have-nots. And that becomes really something that's important, I think, for businesses to thrive in a hybrid work environment. Security, also super important. Webex is secure by design. Privacy is also by default. We recognize in a hybrid work environment that threat horizon is increasing. People are calling in from all different locations, more and more threats. And so that security becomes even more important, not an area you want to compromise on. We talked about manageability and having a modern infrastructure that removes some of the friction points from an admin perspective and really giving IT the tool sets that they need to manage the business important. And then last but not least, and I would say this is something that really has been added, is supportive. And this is more important for organizations that they think about employee engagement and really supporting their employees. And that is providing empathy and well-being. We know a lot of us worked really hard during the pandemic, and the focus on work-life balance and giving people the tool sets for them to be able to create a more resilient organization, connect better to their teams is really important to help teams thrive in this new environment. So these are the factors that many of our customers are looking at as they select that strategic choice for hybrid work, and it's guiding a lot of our development. So let's talk about how those are showing up in our July feature and product updates. We've got a couple areas where we're focused on in July. The first is visual collaboration. I know this is a factor that we've heard from a number of CEOs as they think about going back into the office. And we'll talk a little bit more about how it's really core to what we're doing with Webex and things that you can leverage today in the product, as well as some new enhancements. And the second is security and B2B. So lots of updates here that we want to share with you. But let's start with visual collaboration. A lot of people have noted that the results that they've seen over the last 12 months is that productivity went up, but creativity and innovation maybe not as great as they have been in the past. And I would say some of that might be based on the tool set that is available to everybody in the organization. You see on the right a chart that this is actually a survey from organizations around the world. And these are some of the factors that were really important in terms of their meeting experience at home, but also mirrored when you go into the office. And we're addressing a lot of these already. We talked about things like friction points with background noise or quality. The desire to have a digital assistant is important, but digital whiteboarding and annotation tools really important in order for all individuals to be able to really participate and collaborate together. And this we think is really important. Webex provides visual collaboration capabilities across the full spectrum. This is part of really giving people the tool set for things like co-creation ideation. It extends all the way down to the front line for hands-free devices, experiences for a frontline worker, collaborating with a remote subject matter expert and seeing annotation in real time, to the desktop and within software, to the office and some of the devices that may exist on the desktop or in the conference room. And if we think about this, fundamentally, we think that digital whiteboarding is an important aspect of hybrid work. Webex is built with these capabilities on board, frictionless. They are designed for everyone, accessible within the application and our devices. And the idea here is really to make it very simple and replicate the experience that you might have in an analog world now in a digital whiteboard that's always accessible to everyone in any space. It supports sync and asynchronous, so everyone can participate in real time within a meeting. But if you weren't in the meeting, you can also amend or annotate on that whiteboard. You can continue the work within a shared workspace. So you really get the benefit of everybody's participation, or a great idea that you might have a little bit later. So no whiteboard or digital collaboration effort is fixed in time. It continues to grow, and it's part of that workspace. Co-creation and ideation, also really important here. We have digital whiteboards, but we have the ability to annotate on any type of document and really include that as part of the spectrum. And last but not least is that flexibility. We're delivering digital whiteboarding across hardware and software solutions and making that accessible to everybody in the organization. But another part of that is really extensibility, or the ability to integrate third-party solutions as well. So in July, we're going to be integrating more options for digital whiteboarding. So that will include a Miro integration. So Miro and a second one that we'll introduce in just a minute are software-based visual collaboration tools for those individuals who are maybe a little bit more advanced in their requirements. It includes things like templates, etc. And with this integration, users can create a new Miro board or use an existing Miro board, add them to a space. It's also something that will be available via web app integrations on devices as well. We're also integrating in July Mural, also a very popular solution here. Again, same options in terms of adding a new or existing board to a WebEx space means more options for co-creation, whiteboarding within a team, including with guests as well. So these come together as great options, again, to extend the value of WebEx. So we have those whiteboarding solutions, but we also have a realm of other capabilities. So we're integrating with Jib. So for those customers who have a preference for working with an analog whiteboard environment, those can be captured and integrated within WebEx. So you can share your handwriting into any WebEx space, capture something from a pen and paper or a whiteboard to share online, and instantly save a copy into a WebEx space. ClickSee allows people to take the next level of interaction to your WebEx recording. You can actually import those into their media interactive platform, and you could add lots of interactive elements. You can create chapters, clickable elements, and break down the videos into chapters or stories. So lots of options there, again, to extend different ways of using those visual elements and WebEx recordings in different environments. SciViz is another integration, and this is really, again, an option here for more advanced visual collaboration using our devices or extending WebEx across some of the ultra-wide video wall systems. So I think all in all, video collaboration is going to continue to be something that's really important. The visual collaboration extends not only to whiteboarding to lots of different ways. So this is something that we think is going to be an important element to continue to support creativity and innovation. And it's part of what we're delivering with WebEx. So lots of options added to the portfolio in July, and stay tuned for even more as we go forward. The next area of innovation is around security. So for those of you who have joined us, perhaps from the US, this may be relevant to you. In July, we've done a lot of innovations. We've introduced WebEx for Defense. That's an IL5 authorized solution for federal government customers. But the next level of innovation here is providing support for guest conversations. So FedRAMP typically has been something that's been limited to a single federal agency or federal group. Now we're with WebEx, we're providing the opportunity for them to securely communicate with guests. That means that they can collaborate with a supplier, a contractor, etc., using WebEx messaging in a secure fashion. It could be one-on-one or a group message, sharing files, and more. In all cases, the spaces are initiated by the federal user, so it is secure, but it's giving them one more way of securely communicating in a much more seamless fashion. No need to go out to email. Now it can be included securely within WebEx. But beyond the federal sector, we're also excited to introduce more options for zero trust security. So in this case, in July, we're going to be introducing a new form of end-to-end encryption, as well as the concept of end-to-end identity verification. Super important because we know security is very important, and in a hybrid world, more and more you're meeting with people who you may not have the opportunity to meet in person. So really thinking about this as a way of WebEx providing that added level of visibility so that in an end-to-end encrypted meeting, you can use the meeting information icon to get a summary of the meeting security stats, click on the icon to get more detailed information about the participants in the meeting, including a meeting security code to confirm that your meeting hasn't been intercepted. And you could access the app also from the touch panel if you're using a device to connect. You can also see things like the encryption cipher being used or the cipher for end-to-end encryption for your meeting. And with end-to-end identity for verified users, we're now displaying information in the meeting roster or in the lobby that shows that the organizational domain that a user belongs to. And you can actually click to the icon next to a user to see the details of their identity certificate and see that they've actually been verified by WebEx, so that you're actually speaking with the people that you mean to be meeting. So this is a great way of really providing confidentiality. WebEx has no access to, for example, meeting encryption keys, but you also have the ability to ascertain if the person in the meeting is who they say they are. So these are two elements of zero trust security that we'll be introducing to WebEx later this month. The other element that we're expanding is data loss prevention. Already we have WebEx calling, meeting, and messaging supporting various compliance features like things like e-discovery or legal hold or others. We also support data loss prevention today for things like meeting artifacts so that you can ensure that your company is compliant with security policies, you're protecting classified content. Now we're extending data loss prevention to be in line for messages or content. And this means that you can prohibit classified content from ever being sent to the cloud, rather than thinking about things like redacting or deleting content after it's already been posted. So this is a great opportunity to really extend your policy for inline file scanning for those policy violations and prevent sensitive data from being accessible by users, whether they're internal or external, in any space, regardless of who owns it. So this is a great opportunity to take the next step With real-time DLP, we're doing the inspection, can be via cloud lock or utilizing any third-party DLP vendor. So this is introduced into Webex in August. It's a great opportunity really to assess perhaps risky behavior and take more proactive steps to prevent inadvertent or maybe even deliberate data compromise. So a great addition to our portfolio of DLP solutions for compliance and data protection. But we also have a number of other hybrid work options we're introducing in July. And one of the elements that we talked about before, inclusivity, super important. We know that there's a lot of vendors out there who are talking about inclusivity, and we recognize it's important. Webex really is going deeper. We're really looking at ways in which we can provide inclusivity across geography, language, personality, or work type, if you're an introvert or an extrovert, where you work, if you're on the front line, if you're in the office, if you're working from home, and your technical proficiency, if you're a power user or if you're a casual user. And so here's a list of just some of the inclusivity features that we've introduced. On the left is a column of a lot of features that are really powerful, that may also have versions provided by competitors. But on the right, you see we have a growing list of inclusivity that is unique to Webex that really goes a lot deeper with things like real-time translation, gesture recognition, things like automatic video adaption, making capabilities available to everyone across many different factors. It's something that we really take very seriously, and we think it's really important to the future of hybrid work. So here are a few that we've added recently that we want to call your attention to. The first one is in Control Hub, and this one I think is really important to think about inclusivity and accessibility. We have shared with you a lot of great reports and analytics within Control Hub, and oftentimes those are very colorful charts. The charts provide visual clues about the information, but what happens if you're not able to discern different colors? There are 300 million people globally that are colorblind. And this is something that our user experience design team has taken very seriously. They've done a lot of work with the color charts to select colors that can be identified by people who are colorblind. And actually, they've demonstrated the differentiation success. You can see it here on the slide, 92 to 94, 95% for colorblind people. That's significantly higher than other solutions. We're really proud of this because we feel like this is just one more step of making this information available to everyone and really unlocking the power of Control Hub insights for more people across the organization. Next is we're expanding our closed captioning support. Today, closed captioning is available via the Webex Assistant, but in July, we're extending this via the closed captioning solution. You can see the button at the bottom of the slide here. This means that all meeting participants can access closed captioning. Does not have to be turned on by the host with Webex Assistant. Anyone can use it at any time to really make the information more accessible to them. The next one, Webex events, we're continuing to expand the capabilities and the scale, both for webinar mode and broadcast mode. It extends across things like improving scheduling, AI features, in-meeting reactions and gestures. So lots more coming here to really include more people into the experience through events. And I'm going to pause here, not only to take a sip of water, but Adrian's going to take us through a demonstration so you can actually see some of the new features within the Webex product. Adrian?
Thank you, Astrid. So you can hear me well, right? Okay, I'm going to give you a brief introduction of the recent updates on Webex meetings. So here I just drag my Webex meeting into the shared screen. So here I'm in this event and I'm launch a Webex meeting at the same time, so my broadband could be overloaded. So hopefully the demo god is with us today. So here's the interface that you're familiar with, but we have so many updates within the Webex meeting app. First of all, you see that we have quite a lot of control on the layout. Right, so maybe you're not a big fan of seeing yourself or other people without video, so we could turn this off. So everybody with video or turn the camera on could be seen. So Most people are big fan of a grid view, but not all of them, they like 5x5. They might prefer 3x3, 2x2, or maybe scroll all the way to a focus mode, the focus on the active speaker. So you could do that on this toggle. And also you could have the stack view, right? So stack view has been there for quite a while, but in the 41.7, you could customize your, stack view. Somebody, they don't like this film strip with, so many participants, or they want more participants. So you could customize the film strip even to 3 layers of film strip, or you could just disable that, right? So it will be a clean, no distraction kind of an interface. And you could drag and drop different participants into your stage area. You want to see multiple people, maybe the executives, the active speaker, the presenter at the same time. And so here's your stage. And in 41.7, you could customize the active speaker view and your, your other participant on your stage, right? So it's very flexible, right? So of course you have your favorite side-by-side view. Also side-by-side view, your film strip could be customized, could be disabled, could be in multiple columns as well. So you have the whole freedom of customize your layouts, right? And in 41.6, we launched this sync your stage for everyone features that you could sync your stage to all the participants. Every participant are going to see that have the same kind of view. In 41.7, we have this log attendee view option, which means attendees could only see the stage, so they cannot change layout anymore. They won't see the film strip anymore. So people could be totally controlled by the host or co-host out there, right? So we just mentioned our Slido integration. So in here, you see a new button from 41.6. There's a series of application could be integrated natively in WebEx, and Slido is the first one. Maybe you asked, Slido is part of Cisco, right? But when we try to do this function, Slido, we didn't close the acquisition. We started the acquisition in April, and we closed the deal in May, and we launched this feature in June, right? So within WebEx meetings, you could click the Slido app, so your Slido features are natively within WebEx app, right? So maybe you're in kind of a hybrid kind of environment. You have, for example, a classroom. You have some classmates that or students within the room. So if you click that launch button, it will cross launch into a browser. So if you are separate projectors or screen, so you could have your favorite or traditional way of scan the QR code, input the events code, that kind of thing. But within WebEx meeting, if it's a pure virtual meeting, so everybody on their WebEx app, even if they're using mobile app, there will be a pop-up window saying that the host is launching a poll or Q&A session or a quiz or whatever session, and it will pop up on natively in the WebEx app itself, right? So Astrid, do you want me to scan the QR code for all the attendees? So
Yeah.
Yep, please. I give you maybe because I'm currently launching this through a separate WebEx meeting, so you're not natively launching that within your events right now. So you're welcome to scan this this QR code to participate in this Slido session, if you will. So I'll give you maybe 10 seconds. All right. Sorry. So I'm not sure if the slides are being shared at that time. So no worries, I could point in here. So all these questions or polling could be added or pre-set up before the events or at the meeting. If you log into slido.com, you could, using your Webex account, log in with your Webex account, so you could create events and setting all these questions and answers and quiz and all this kind of complicated stuff. So within the meeting, you could switch to different events, or you could click to join that events that you pre-configure already. So once everything's ready, so you click this green button to activate the poll, right? So just like the traditional, Webex or Slido events, on the screen or the projector, you're going to have the similar kind of active poll in there as well, right? So we see people start to answer questions. It's all dynamic in there. And in here, as a host, that you could control to stop, to get back, to do more things in there, right? So yeah, people are still input things. Let me give you 5 more seconds, because today it is more around demo purpose, right? But we see there's more requests on the brainstorming sessions, right? So are needed. So that's really useful to us, right? So, but others people are still prefer, right? So let me move on. So if we need, we could just move back to this poll as well. So maybe the next questions. So you see this, which city is this picture? So it's quite tiny. On our, browser is still quite tiny, right? So I'm based in Singapore, by the way, but we're going to improve this in the later version of Slido integration. All right, so we want to make the image even bigger so that you could have more interaction in there as well. So this is something about this polling and quiz around that. And we have Q&A integrated as well. So now the Q&A is open. You could ask question in here. You could do interaction with the hosts in here. And if as a whole, so you want some modification or you want some filter of the question, you don't want people to see the question first, so you could turn on modification. So all the question will be show up in here. So you could assign or filter all those inappropriate ones, right? So that's pretty much the Slido integration. So we also sell Slido services to our competitors like Microsoft and Zoom. They could use Slido, but it's a cross-launch experience. So you have to, using 2 different applications at the same time. For this one, whether you're using desktop app or mobile app, it's all well integrated together, right? So that's Slido integration. So we have quite a lot of new other updates in there. As Astrid mentioned, we provided Webex Assistant already free of charge, I guess, from July. And we provide the real-time translation for Webex Suite kind of subscription users. So there's 109 different languages out there. And there's more, like bi-directional translation coming in the future release. We have a really robust share function from 41.7. So you see there's a show me in front of presentation feature in here. If you click the share, so on top of your presentation, your screen, so you have this kind of an immersive share type of experience, just like Desk Pro, you must have that kind of a similar experience. You could have that on a PC or Mac now from 41.7, right? And in the recording could start, so there's nothing to mention. You could start to pause, you could record it in the cloud or locally, and you have some breakout room functions, you have some reactions, you have some AI features, kind of a body language kind of sensitive in there. So in short, there's all sort of features in the latest release. I'm not using a roadmap kind of demo account. I'm just using my Cisco production account 41.7. So which means we already started the upgrade from 5th this month. We're going to close the upgrade to 20 this month. So until July 20th, all the cluster of our customer will be upgraded to 41.7. So you're going to enjoy every single feature that I just demoed. So it's not something far away, right? So one last thing around the meeting encryption. All right. So far, every single WebEx meeting is encrypted for the content, for the media. It's pure encrypted. But as Astrid mentioned, in 41.7, we're going to launch the next generation of end-to-end encrypted meeting, which means that the encryption keys are exchanged between participant and the host. So the cloud, Cisco, WebEx, or even the cloud platform doesn't have the encryption keys to decrypt the content, the audio, the video, the content, so that this is all between the participant, right? This is the most secured meetings ever, right? So that's end-to-end. So we've been providing end-to-end encryption for the past 12 years. Now we have implemented quite a lot of new technology to make it more stronger as a secure meeting. So I think this I have quite limited time, so I'm going to stop myself here. So if you have some question, please pop up in the Q&A panel. Thank you.
That was awesome, Adrian. Thank you. And I think that really brings to life a lot of the things that we're doing within WebEx. When you see all the Slido and capabilities to dynamically change the display, it really demonstrates how powerful WebEx can be, and really our vision in terms of changing meetings and sessions like these from lectures to more about conversations where everybody can see what's important to them, where they can share their ideas, their input, their responses, and you can experience a very secure environment as well. So as Adrian said, Slido integration into WebEx meetings is available today. We'll add that to events later. But as part of the WebEx suite, these are all elements that come with WebEx. We're all about empowering you and delivering more value. As Adrian said, we do also offer Slido to competitors, but with WebEx, you get the full benefit of Slido integrated into a meeting beautifully with the panels, as you saw, with 6 different types of polls, quizzes, etc., that can be done dynamically while you're in the meeting to be responsive to situations or set up before. So really powerful tools that we think can really change some of the dynamics. Some of the other elements that we're going to be adding to Slido later this month include emoji support. So these can be added to a poll, makes it a little bit more fun for participants to respond using emojis. And as Adrian showed, we're adding images to polls as well. So you can display an image and a poll. The easy one here is to identify the city, but this could also be an image of a workflow or something within a business environment to help either from a training perspective or to get people's opinions on design aspects or others. So this really becomes powerful in terms of opening up the conversation and the interaction between participants in a meeting and ultimately in events. Some of the other elements that we're adding to WebEx to make it more flexible so that you can use the tools that you love, we're adding Google Drive Enterprise Content Management integration. So today, WebEx already has this with a Microsoft SharePoint and OneDrive. Now, for those of you who may use Google Drive, we're making it very easy for you to share and sync content across WebEx. You can create and manage content, co-create content in WebEx or in Google Drive and share that. So everyone is able to use the tools that they like and make this very easy. So what we're trying to do is get away from multiple applications and potentially file chaos, if you like, with these direct integrations, all within your enterprise content management guidelines. We're also continuing to add updates to the mobile experience. Some of these already exist on the desktop, and now we're extending them into the mobile environment. So the first one that will be available in July is the ability to quickly review links shared in a space. This is great. I use this all the time. If Adrian or Ziquan or others shared a link with me previously, I can quickly go and look in the content tab and see some of these links They're listed chronologically, so it's really easy for me to find something. The second is linking spaces on mobile devices. Again, this is great if you're like me, you have a lot of WebEx spaces. And so being able to provide a link to another space where content may be available is an easy way of quickly connecting people within that space to other related content in other spaces. And then the last one, customizing your status. Again, making this relevant to you. So not only can you indicate your status here, but you can set the time where it will expire. So I'm often guilty of forgetting to do that. Now Webex is making that much more easy also on the mobile front. Adrian gave a great demo here. Again, that customization of the participant view, I think, is really powerful in terms of making meetings, virtual meetings, more engaging and giving users the tools to really focus on what's most important to them. So as you saw, we're giving you even more options here to customize this, even the ability to scale the film strip. So previously it was a single film strip. Now you're able actually to stack these or provide an additional film strip in the side-by-side mode. So really simple, it becomes a drag and drop, very intuitive experience, and you really get to see what's important to you. So overcoming things like meeting fatigue and finding ways to be much more engaged and see the reactions of the people who are most important to you in a meeting, large or small. Supportive is super important. Last month, we introduced that we're in public beta with our personal insights feature. So if that's of interest to you, we can share more information in terms of how you can participate in that. But we also continue to provide more tools. We know it's really important in a hybrid work environment to create empathy across teams, to connect people who maybe have never met in person and build that trust and relationship. So the Watercooler bot is something that can be added to a space and can be customized. So it really prompts conversations and discussions and getting to know you. You can set it for daily, weekly, monthly interactions. And it's just one more tool to help teams get connected, put icebreaker questions out there. So encouraging more discussions and team member interaction for new or existing teams that are growing. So I covered a lot of stuff, and with Adrian's help, we brought that to life in the demos. There's a lot of stuff in July that is being added to Webex. So we encourage you to take a look at that. We weren't able to cover all of the updates today. So this is just a quick summary of some more of the highlights across messaging, meetings, devices, Control Hub, and lots of integrations. We also want to call out for the folks who are in ANZ. Webex Contact Center features are now available in region. So another powerful aspect to hybrid work is expanding the relationships that you have with customers. So lots more there. So that brings us to the end of the prepared content. I want to thank everybody for participating. But Joe, do we have any other questions that we want to address?
Yeah, Astrid, there was a couple. Going back to Slido, one of the questions was, what elements of Slido are paid versus free when integrated with the WebEx meetings?
So it's a great question. So with the WebEx suite, we're including all of the Slido experiences integrated into meetings at no additional charge. We're adding that as part of creating a more engaging WebEx meeting experience. As Adrian said, these are all the features that are available for enterprise accounts. Now within WebEx, part of that integrated meeting experience, no additional charge for all users. So that's a great value. And it's something that we think are going to make meetings even more engaging for all of your users. So we encourage you to take a look, to try that out, but there's no additional charge for it.
So, hey, to continue on that one, the other one was, when will Slido be available for WebEx events? And
so that,
likewise, is there a cost involved?
Okay, so again, we're integrating Slido into meetings and events as part of the WebEx suite. No additional charge for either one. Adrian mentioned we just closed this acquisition and we have been really fast in terms of integrating it into WebEx meetings. So we expect within the next month or two that that will be available in events as well, and we'll bring that to you in one of these sessions. So stay tuned. Again, our intent is to really provide that across both meetings and events, all delivered through the WebEx platform. Obviously, we need to prioritize some of these, but for us, it's been very important to quickly bring that into the Webex experience as soon as the acquisition is completed. So excited to have that available for everyone within 60 days or so in meetings, and next is events. So stay tuned. It's coming really quickly.
Okay, how about one more? This one was around integrations. The question was, hey, when will the integrations that you've shown today be available? And where can someone go to find out some more information on the integrations you talked about?
Great question. So we only highlighted a few of the integrations you can see on the slide. There's a number of them that we didn't have time to go through. All of these will be available through the Webex App Hub through the month of July. Some of them are already up there. You can find more information about Jib or Clixy or Miro. So look forward. We're in the process of adding a little bit more information. You can find more information about them, as well as how you add them into your implementation. And all of these from a Webex perspective are free. You may need to have an account with Miro or Mural or some of the others, but these are readily available via the Webex App Hub, and we can provide that in the chat if you're not familiar with the link to that solution.
Fantastic. Hey, Astrid, that pretty much does it in terms of Q&A. If you have any final closing thoughts or remarks you wanted to make.
I thank everybody for their time. We had a great panel today. Adrian was fantastic in really bringing these together. We appreciate your participation and your great questions. We're super excited about what Webex is bringing to you. And we hope that you will join us for future events. August is shaping up to have even more updates, and we hope that you take advantage of those and join us again. So thank you all.